So go find people everywhere. So the servants went out into the streets and gathered all the people they could find, and the bad as well as the good. And the wedding hall was what? Filled with guests. And so notice this picture, this parable that Jesus is putting there for them. Jesus goes to the Jews, and he says, I've got this wedding feast. It's ready. I've killed the fatted calf. My oxen and fatted calf have been butchered. Everything's ready. Come to the wedding feast. And the Jewish leader said, we're not interested. We don't want to come. And not only did they say they don't want to come, but they paid no attention to him. One to his field, another to his business, and the rest they seized the servants, mistreated, and killed them. No doubt referring to a lot of the prophets. So then he said, go out and get everybody, Gentiles, Samaritans, get everybody, bring them in, and Jews as well, those that are Jews that wanted to come. So the servants went out in the streets, gathered the people that they could find, and I find it interesting, at least the NIV puts it this way, go out and gather all the people that you can find, and if you guys are following with me, verse 10, the bad as well as the good. So I don't want you to do any judging, assessing, filtering, anything. I don't want you to go, well, that tax collector's a jerk and I don't like him. No, invite him. Bring him. Get him in here. What about that prostitute? Bring her. Bring him. What about, bring them all, the bad and the good. Bring them all. And ultimately, you have a wedding hall that is filled with guests. And what kind of wedding hall, what kind of guest do we find? I know I keep repeating this, but if you were to walk into this wedding hall and see the guests, what is this landowner, this king, what does the wedding hall look like in terms of people? All different people, all different kinds of people, not even just in terms of economics, but you're going to walk in and you're going to see a prostitute, you're going to see a tax collector, you're going to see a sinner, you're going to see all kinds of people that are in this wedding hall that the king has not only invited but brought in. Yes, thank you. No, that's a great point, because from God's standpoint, you're just seeing people. Okay. But when the king came in to see the guest, verse 11, he noticed a man who was there who was not wearing wedding clothes. So he asked, how did you get in here without wedding clothes, friend? And the man was speechless. And then the king told the attendants, tie him and hand and foot, throw him outside into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Many are invited, but few are chosen. Yes.
People are so busy with their farm business. They don't make time for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's a reference there or what. And also, I don't understand why the guy wasn't dressed right. I mean, because you're talking about probably 4 people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to be clothed in Christ.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 Well, right. 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 Well, and there was no intention of looking right. There was no intention of being dressed correctly. And in fact, how did the man respond to the question? He didn't. He didn't have a response. He was speechless. So the times that I've tried to look into this, I've gotten a little disappointed with some commentaries because they just kind of give a cliche answer, so to speak. So sometimes I like to read through these things a little slower because to kind of set it up visually in my mind. because again, the type of guests that you have, there's such diversity of people. And when he came to see his guest, there was a man there not wearing wedding clothes. And it's very possible that you have a guy there who the other people were there because they wanted to be with the king. They wanted to be in the wedding hall. They took the invitation. And it's very possible that he didn't want to be there. I don't know. Does anybody have any thoughts on this? Because I've tried to look into it and it gets a little murky. Okay. Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm glad you said it because I remember hearing the same thing. That it's kind of like when you go into someone's house and they wash your feet. They had this has plural clothes, but it's very possible that when you got there, they had something for you to put on. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. And so everybody did what the king asked them to do, putting on this clothing. Which you go to, is it Galatians 3, that upon baptism we are clothed in Christ. It actually uses the term of a clothing like a coat. And so he did not put the clothing on. He was there, but he was not obedient, whatever word you want to use. And so what is the response of going into the king's wedding banquet and not putting on what the king gives you to put on? Tie him hand and foot and throw him outside into the darkness where there would be weeping and gnashing of teeth. A couple of comments about this, and only from a standpoint, you find the same terminology with the rich man and Lazarus. And the time that I looked into that, again, a parable that didn't actually happen, is the idea that with this king, he still has control, if you want to call it that. He still has authority. So to tie this guy hand and foot is to bind him, to control him. Throw him outside of the kingdom. You are no longer a part of this king's banquet. You're now outside and you're in darkness. So the idea of darkness is being ignorant. It's being, yeah, go ahead, Bob. You're hurting me. Well, yeah, we are all called and we are all chosen. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Reading the parable
yeah, yeah.
Paul is almost burying that whole passage in that in his discussion about the Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he says, though the number, he's quoting Isaiah, the number of the sons of Israel be as the sand in the sea, only a remnant of them be saved. And in this whole discussion, he's talking about God. To Moses says, I will have mercy on you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the idea that God chooses.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, then, that's right. Because if he's the one who decides to be a mercy on us, then we're not without fault.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no, you don't understand. God is God. You are not God. You don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
He is. He chooses who he chooses.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Bob asked the question, only a few are chosen. Well, that's very difficult to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, it's said.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. That's what it said. And of Israel, only a remnant. Only a small number. Paul being one
Right,
by
right,
grace.
right.
But it doesn't seem to be Jesus. I believe all of you who are
Yes.
Everybody's called, but it's still our option
Yeah.
to accept it or not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The concept would be everyone's called, many are called, but few are saved versus chosen. I mean, maybe not everyone's going to be taken into the fold, into the wedding feast, because, you know,
Yeah.
everyone's called.
Yeah.
If you're not wearing the garment,
Yeah.
you're not choosing.
So let's go that direction a little bit. What are the garments that Jesus / God calls a person to wear to become a Christian? What's that? Love and obedience, obviously. Baptism, clothed in baptism. In that sense? I know you guys know this answer. Maybe you're tired. What are some of the things that Jesus calls us to do and be? There's love, there's kindness, there's baptism, humility, repentance, love. All these different things. And so if I walk into this wedding banquet and I say, baptism is stupid, it just doesn't make sense, I'm not going to put on that clothing, then are you going to be chosen? So we walk in and we say, this kindness thing is it just doesn't make sense to me. People are mean out there. I just don't think I'm going to do that. I'm not going to put on that clothing. Are you going to be chosen? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody is called. But in terms of God saying, are you going to, I don't like the word requirements. This is what my people are going to look like. Are you going to do this? So this guy didn't have on his, now, were there Jews who chose to put on the wedding garments? Yes, there were. And who is he really speaking to here? The Pharisees, the Jewish leaders. So much like we find in Luke 12-16, it's the same ideas. He's not speaking to your average Jew here. He's speaking to the Jewish leadership. And he's telling them, are you willing to put on Yahweh's wedding garments to come to the banquet? And they're like, no, we're not. Then, yeah, go ahead.
And Gentile.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So
For sure.
the leadership of the Jews, and the Jews are going to deny him. They're going to go out on the street. They're going to do whatever they wanted to do. They tended to farm, no business or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm going to go. So people are going to. People who want to hear.
Yeah. 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 Now, to get back to these images that he uses, to be thrown outside, say it's at night, and you get thrown outside of a wedding banquet. What is outside like? Let's say you get thrown out of Jericho and you're out there. What is that like? It's dark. You may have ravaged animals. You don't have anybody to protect you. It's not like, we read stuff like this in America, and we have a police system, and we have sheriffs, and we have different things that we're just used to that are normal. But if you get kicked out of the group in those times, you're probably going to die, or die of starvation maybe. And there's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. The idea that they are not connected to God, they don't have the importance that they used to, they don't have the pride that they used to, et cetera, et cetera. So he's giving them this imagery that there's going to come a time, and you got to make a decision. Are you going to wear the wedding garments or aren't you? And if they're not, because it doesn't look like they wanted to, then this is going to be the outcome. They're going to be thrown outside. It is going to be dark. It is not going to be safe. Be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Many are invited, but few are chosen.
Jesus became so
source of salvation for those that obey him.
Yeah, yeah,
Through obedience, I think we put on these garments that are
Yeah.
necessary.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know, this is, he's not just.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're going to be put outside the gates. Yeah, a lot of things. Yeah. You know, a number of years ago, Terry and I got to go to Haiti on a mission trip. And it never occurred to me till just now that I would not want to go to downtown Haiti at 11 o'clock at night and just walk around, just hang out. Hey, let's go hang out. Because you're probably going to be dead the next day. So you get outside of protection and it's darkness. It's weeping and gnashing of teeth. You're probably going to die. So because you're not wearing the wedding garments, you're not going to be included. You're not going to be chosen because the choosing depends upon the requisite things that God calls us to do. Yeah. Mhm.
And sometimes we have that lack of respect
Yeah.
for God, and we show that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the fact that Pharisees had no respect for the fact that Jesus was.
Yeah. 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 No, really good point. Because again, the whole parable is a king does X. And not only did the people not want to come, but then they seized his servants, mistreated, and he killed them. And one of the things I want you guys to notice, and maybe as we close here, is that some of the stuff that we read in terms of theology and parables and these Bible stories, Jesus, the closer he gets to the cross, the less he cloaks his teachings. And so with these visuals, he is telling them and pointing almost to these religious leaders, these Pharisees, these scribes. He's pointing to them, saying, unless you change and do the kingdom as God has told you for generations, you're not going to be included. You're going to be done. You're not going to be a part of it. And in fact, I don't know. Every time I read this, I'm like, I could just hear this whole crowd going, did he just say that? Tax collectors and prostitutes will get into the kingdom ahead of you. People you despise and I cannot stand. Yeah.
Did not submit to God's wishes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pride is the enemy of all.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did God call on the Jews to be righteous? Hit your point in time. What was righteousness to God, to Yahweh? Obedience to the Torah, loving your neighbor, offering sacrifices. And by the time we get to now, what was righteousness for the Jewish leadership? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, they literally approached these disciples as they're eating wheat, which they were not only allowed to do, but it was actually a part of the law. You know, they were to leave 1/10 of their crop for foreigners as they walked through to eat. So they're doing what they could do. And they came up, they got on them. Hey, we got this law. You're going against it. Tell your disciples to stop. They were not remotely about putting on the garments of Yahweh. They had their own garments, right? They had their own garments. And Jesus telling them, you're gonna be thrown outside of the kingdom. It's going to be dark, weeping and gnashing of teeth. And you're not going to be chosen by God. Not now and not ever, with this same mindset. Yeah, Kent.
Jesus condemned the Jewish religious leaders because he said, you teach as doctrine the commandments of men.
Yeah.
Makes you
Yeah.
worship man.
Yeah. Which in some ways kind of highlights, I mean, it kind of puts a little bit more flesh on Jesus tearing up the temple. Because what they were doing there was no longer, they no longer wore Yahweh's garments. They were doing their own thing. It was literally a marketplace, but it wasn't there to honor Yahweh. They'd made up their own laws and their own ideas. All right, well, we'll continue there next week. Thank you for your comments. Hope you're enjoying this. I know I am. Thank you.